Hello fellow misfortunates. In this video you will learn about the strategies a Challenger Aphelios player uses to unlock Aphelios' full potential in a high-stakes ranked game. We are watching a Challenger player from the Korean server here, and if you want to check out their profile you can find the link in the video description down below. Now, Aphelios is a champion with a rather unique power curve. His level 1 is arguably the weakest out of all AD carries because he doesn't get access to a real ability before reaching level 2. Therefore, Aphelios must respect the opposing Set and Kalista, as all he can really do is auto-attack, whereas the enemies can freely use their spells. Additionally, there's little to no chance to push the wave fast enough to get your level 2 power spike before the enemy does, and Aphelios has no choice but to play it slow. Once our Challenger player does reach level 2, however, he is suddenly playing one of the most oppressive early game champions ever released. He can now fire his Q spell twice using both equipped weapons, and if he depletes his ammunition in the process, he can get additional Q casts for each new weapon in a single fight. No champion can compete with 4 powerful combat spells at level 2, making Aphelios insanely strong at this stage of the game. Now it is Kalista and Set who are forced to keep their distance, since them getting caught by a Thresh hook would give our Aphelios player a huge opening. And indeed, Set gets a little too confident in the bush, and Aphelios responds by immediately unleashing all his cooldowns. Note how even the opposing jungler showing up is not a problem at all, since getting new weapons mid-fight instantly refreshes Aphelios' Q, allowing him to keep going and going. To be honest, the Renekton's teleport wasn't even necessary here and only scared the enemies away if anything. Not only does Aphelios have the bigger natural power spike right now, but also item and level advantage due to winning that first fight. This means he can safely slow push the wave under the enemy tower and then pressure Kalista while she desperately tries to farm. However, Set makes the huge mistake of hard engaging. This might look good for him at first, but this fight is a textbook example of why you should never skirmish in an opposing minion wave. Blue team's minions effectively turn this fight into a 3 vs 2, which means the opposing bot lane has no chance here whatsoever. Our Challenger player truly gets the most out of Aphelios' early power spike in this game, and his lane opponents have no choice but to concede lane priority indefinitely. They can't even safely farm under tower anymore, as Aphelios constantly threatens to dive them with his flawless positioning. Now, if you are Aphelios in this situation, you've got a choice to make. You can either play it safe, which is what I would recommend, and perpetually slow push huge minion waves into the tower after forcing the enemy out of lane, so you reliably extend your item and level advantage with good base timings. Our Challenger player does this as well, but instead of taking the free recall, he fake retreats, trying to catch Kalista by surprise. This is a high-risk, high-reward play and is only worth it if you can trust your support player. If you can pull it off though, you get rewarded very highly. Aphelios' gold lead is out of control right now, and more importantly, your opponent's mental will be utterly destroyed. As you can probably tell from your own experience, there are only very few players who wouldn't smash their keyboards after this experience. By the way, have you heard of Aphelios' infamous red-white weapon combo? Yeah, look at this. That's right, he annihilated the enemy top laner in a 1v1, despite being a full level behind. The combination of red Q instantly stacking chakram and then rapid firing those chakrams with white auto attacks, fixed attack speed and melee range allows Aphelios to out-duel pretty much anyone. The reason Aphelios goes top lane here in the first place is simply the fact that Renekton is near bot lane right now and Gangplank was pushing minions into the tower uncontestedly. Very straightforward answer, but many players just run towards their lane on autopilot because they don't check their minimaps frequently enough. If you instead check social media while in base, you will not catch opportunities like that and consequentially not win as many games. So make sure to both pay attention to your allies' rotations and to click the subscribe button. Anyway, now in the mid-game, Aphelios is in a very comfortable position due to his snowballing during lane phase. However, all the outer towers are already taken, which means there are no easy objectives on the map right now. Therefore, the best play for Aphelios is to push the waves past the river and then roam to either try and make a play on other sides of the map or simply to establish vision control in the enemy jungle. And later in this game you will see exactly why having vision in the enemy jungle is truly game-winning. Unfortunately, Aphelios' teammates do not realize in time that the enemy is tearing down their mid lane tower with 3 people, so Aphelios can only stand there and let it happen. Remember, not item but numbers advantage is the best predictor of a fight's outcome, so going in 1 versus 3 would be a terrible call. Losing mid lane tower sucks because mid lane towers are important for jungle control, but losing the tower is better than dying and then losing the tower anyway. Afterwards, Aphelios resumes to repeatedly push the minion wave past river, waiting for Baron to spawn. Because Baron very much cares about item advantage, and Aphelios has accumulated enough items to attempt a 20-minute Baron with his team. On top of that, he currently has his broken red-white weapon combo again and can stack it up on Baron Nashor, so if the enemy team wants to contest, he can instantly shoot them down. But guess what? None of these 5 Challenger players bothered to put a control ward into the Baron pit, and fortunately they get what they deserve. This is truly a rookie mistake, and if you fail to deny the enemy's vision, you are getting yourself into a smite 50-50 at best and outright aced at worst. You thought this game was a complete stomp, didn't you? But as you can see, not only did blue team feed away lots of kill gold, but they also lost Baron on top of that. Quite amazing how quickly an early game lead can turn to dust, isn't it? Now, while Aphelios is setting up his red-white weapon combo for the next teamfight, let's talk about the runes and item build. Historically speaking, Aphelios used to always buy Runan's Hurricane for his second item, because the additional bolts will also apply the special effects from his main hand weapon. This means you would apply your AoE burn from Flamethrower, or for example the slow from Gravity Cannon to everyone at once in a teamfight, which is incredibly powerful. However, there has been a shift in the Aphelios meta because of huge buffs to Aphelios' lethality amplification. Now, by maxing your lethality second instead of attack speed, and combining that with a second item collector, you can burst down your opponents extremely quickly, especially with your spells. I will tell you exactly why stacking multiple sources of lethality is better than doing this with any other combat stat, but first let's talk about our Challenger players' rune choices. By picking Conqueror and Presence of Mind, you can fully take advantage of Aphelios' ability-focused playstyle in the early to mid-game. Using your spells allows ranged champions to stack Conqueror just as fast as melee champions, and Presence of Mind provides you with the necessary mana to sustain this strategy. The other runes are fairly standard for AD carries, but there is one particularly interesting choice specific to the champion Aphelios, namely the rune Cutdown. Normally this rune is a situational choice to counter teams with lots of tanks, but Aphelios has exceptionally low base health, which means he will get ridiculous value out of Cutdown in every single game regardless of the matchup. Anyway, let's now look at this beautiful showcase of the true power of the red-white weapon combo. Apparently it doesn't even matter whom you are attacking with this setup. Enemies simply melt, especially at this stage of the game. Some of you might already know this, but Aphelios always experiences a notable power trough in the mid-game, while his late game is simply godlike again. He is one of the AD carries who scales with crit the hardest, so if he gets far enough into his item build, only few champions can match his damage potential. At this point you can teamfight with pretty much any weapon combination, but the best ones are obviously red-white, white-green, green-purple, purple-blue and blue-red. But keep in mind, the longer the game goes, the less you should focus on your abilities, as your basic attacks become more and more important. As you can see, in this teamfight, even missing your ultimate is no big deal for Aphelios, because merely right-clicking everything already does the trick. After winning the fight, blue team can take an inhibitor for free, which means they now have the opportunity to take Baron for free as well, while the enemy is busy dealing with super minions in their base. Except they rush towards Baron immediately instead of recalling first and waiting for minion pressure, which leads to them getting one-shot by Victor. Now red team attempts to take Baron, only to get it stolen by Shaco. This is a Challenger game, by the way. Anyway, shortly after we can see yet again why vision is so important. Deep warding the enemy jungle enables Thresh to land that crucial hook, giving Aphelios an opportunity to show us his insane damage potential. And now that blue team has numbers advantage, which as you remember is of utmost importance in League of Legends, they can now attempt to break open the enemy base via mid lane. You probably also remember that I promised to you I would explain the concept of lethality stacking in greater detail, and I have indeed dedicated an entire video to the topic. So if you want to know everything you need to, just click the link on your screen right there.